Hey, it's Dan Bauer here. Um, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. Anything I say on this channel is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. So I want to get right down into it. I'm going to talk about NVDA because NVIDIA's earnings are today after the bell. But I want to talk about what I see going into it and what's going to happen possibly and what could happen. One of the things that is being talked about is that there's 11% change in price implied volatility. And I don't know that that's going to happen. It dipped pretty hard yesterday. It was down a pretty good amount. But we'll go into all this. I'm going to cover a few things about what they said. I'll talk about a few things that they said at Jensen and Colette, or Colette Crest talked about in the past last earnings call, and something Jensen Wong had talked about in a recent interview. So we'll just start with that. Jensen Wong said that there's about $1 trillion already built out in AI data centers and AI infrastructure, yada yada yada. But then he also said that over the next 3 to 5 years, he sees that there's going to be another $1 trillion worth of data center build out. Now, when we think about that, and we think about also what Lisa Su said over the coming, she said by 2027 there will be $400 billion in spend on data center AI chips, right? 400 billion with a B, a big B. And if we go back to NVIDIA's last earnings, where they had, and we'll take a look at it, you know, dun, dun, dun. NVIDIA's last earnings, hold up, where they said, there we go, that's what I want, where they said they made $18 billion in revenue, right? So total revenue was up at 206% to 18.12 billion, right? Well above their outlook of 16 billion plus or minus 2%, whatever. Okay, so when we think about that, and their data center spend was up to 14.51 billion. All right, so yeah, their total revenue is not all data center. It's got some gaming, it's got their GTX cloud, and a few other things. Like their gaming was up 81% year over year, but they also said they expected a decline year over year for this coming quarter in Q4 as seasonality for the gaming segment, right? But we have to look at AMD versus NVIDIA in this area. AMD is declining, has been declining, and still continues to say that they're going to decline in their gaming revenue. But NVIDIA just keeps growing. So they're gobbling up the market share from AMD. And I think that reflects the leadership team in Wong, Colette Kress, and the others at NVIDIA over Lisa Su and her team. Because Lisa Su and her team are and is the biggest competitor for NVIDIA. You might want to argue that Intel is in there, and Intel's trying, but Intel just ain't got it yet. You know what I mean? But anyways, a few things I want to talk about that Colette Kress talked about when she was talking about the earnings in the last quarter and what they see for this quarter coming up. One thing is an analyst asked about the China restrictions and would they could be completely offset, which Colette Kress said they see that, a lot of that revenue that they lost through the restrictions on China would be offset due to demand, right? And if we think about how much demand all these other companies are talking about, and I'll just go down like a list: Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Aristanet. There's so many more. Snowflake. I could keep going and going and going and going. That still need NVIDIA chips, but that's just the ticker. The kicker here is that it's not just U.S. commercial big tech companies that are going to need and use. There's another company. Now, this isn't going to be for data center usage, but it might also be for data center usage. In two ways, they're going to buy chips from NVIDIA. This company called Symbotics, with $23 billion in backlog that I've been talking about. I've made one video about, but I'll continue to make videos about it because I think there's going to be significant growth in that company, especially when they talk about how they have a $23 billion backlog and the demand is high and they have to turn down customers because they can't fulfill everything that these customers want. So they're focused on a core, of 6 or 7 customers right now. But as they get bigger and they build out more, their AI bots that they're using for warehouse automation, it's going to grow with the $23 billion backlog. That's immense. It's huge, especially for a company who's forecasting only 400 to 420 million for the next quarter. All right, that's a big deal. That means, let's say they do 400 million for the next 4 quarters. That's only 1.6 billion, which is such a small percentage of their backlog. But this isn't about Symbotics. This is about what's going to run these bots. What's going to run the data on these bots? NVIDIA. Well, what kind of chips are they using in these bots to make this automation happen? NVIDIA chips. They said it on their earnings call. They had to use NVIDIA's graphics chips for the scanning of the products, of the boxes, right? I think that's huge to talk about. Okay. So we're not just talking big tech. We're not just talking cloud. By the way, I really want to talk about NVIDIA's cloud and how it's integrated into everybody's stuff. It's basically integrated into, so if you want to look at it like this, they're integrating into everybody else's cloud with their own cloud infrastructure, which is beautiful. It's going to be your annual recurring revenue. And I believe Wong was talking about how it's going to be a $10 billion run rate this next year. That's huge. So NVIDIA is not just going to be data centers or gaming. It's going to be much more than that. I was at the China thing when I freaking skipped off. But as the analyst asked, would that be offset? Colette said there are still products they could have sold to China, but there are products that they had demand for that it wouldn't have been a problem for the China restrictions. But we also have to understand that earlier last year or late 2022, if I can remember, I think it was late 2022, and they put restrictions on NVIDIA's chips back then for China. Wong, on an interview, said it took them about a month to get everything changed over to be able to sell those chips to China again. So now that they have new ones and now that they have new restrictions, what are they going to do? Colette said they were talking about having all these Chinese customers get licenses for their chips and work on that with the U.S. government. And then also, what do you think is going to happen? They were also going to work on, making these chips suitable for the restriction for the Chinese customers. All right. What happens when the H200 comes out? This is my biggest thing. And we know the crazy, amazing things that the H100 chip is capable of with the high tensor or the tensor H100s, right? We know that what it's capable of there. Okay, so what happens when they come out with H200? You think they aren't going to build H200 specifically for Chinese companies? They're not working on that. 100% they're working on that, whether they say it or not, which I believe they have. But they are totally working on that. I want to go over a few things from this earnings call, and we'll just call it like it is. Record data center revenue driven by continued ramp of NVIDIA HGX platform and InfiniBand networking. Consumer internet and enterprise companies drove exceptional sequential growth, outpacing total growth. Strong demand from all hyperscale cloud services, service providers, CSPs, and a broadening set of GPU specialized CSPs. Inference is contributing significantly to NVIDIA data center demand as AI is now in full production. Gaming growth reflects strong demand for GeForce RTX 40 series GPUs for back to school and the holidays. GeForce RTX available at price points as low as $299, entering the holidays with best ever lineup for gamers and creators. Which, by the way, the laptop I got right now has GeForce RTX, and it's a really nice laptop. All right, gaming has doubled relative to pre-COVID levels, even against the backdrop of lackluster PC market performance. Gen AI emerging as new killer app for high-performance PCs. NVIDIA RTX is the natural platform for AI application developers. Yeah, so let's keep going. Let's take a look. All right, so basically what they're comping against here is $6 billion in revenue for Q4 from last year. So we're going to do more. Basically, NVIDIA is going to do more than a triple up on the comp. Now, as time goes on, the next quarter, the comp's going to get tougher and tougher and tougher, which we have to be aware of, okay? But as of right now, this quarter, we're just looking at this quarter. At this moment, what's coming up. If they say they're going to go 20 billion plus or minus 2%, what have we noticed in the last few quarters NVIDIA has done? They've sandbagged guidance and come in and whoop that guidance. Everybody sees that coming, right? Everybody sees that coming. But what I don't think they see coming is the fact that it's not just these companies. NVIDIA is literally the foundation of AI for the entire world. I think that's what people need to understand. It's not just demand from U.S. commercial customers. It's demand from world governments. It's demand from these companies all over the world. And think about it. There's countries that are super duper underdeveloped as far as tech goes. India, which we're going to get to in here, India is one of those. You think they aren't going to gobble up stuff? And think about how U.S.-China tensions have gotten more tense over time. And all these U.S. companies that are in China are going across the border to India. India is definitely a much more favorable climate for businesses than China is. And so we have to understand that there's going to be a lot of spend in India. And guess who the main provider of this stuff? It is NVIDIA. All right. So we're going to go for data center highlights. Look at this. Basically, their comp is $3.6 billion in data center spend. You think it's not? I think data center spend is going to be up another $2 or $3 billion at least. So the comp on that is going to be insane growth. Data center compute revenue quadrupled from last year. Networking revenue nearly tripled. Strong broad-based demand for NVIDIA accelerated computing fueled by investment in build-out of infrastructure for LLMs, recommendation engines, and Gen AI application. Networking business now exceeds a $10 billion annualized revenue run rate. NVIDIA H100 Tensor Core GPU instances are now generally available in virtually every cloud and are in high demand. So let's think about from the end of 2022 to right now. So back then they had the Ampere A100, right? And then coming into the year, they got the H100, in early 2023. Now they upgraded the H100 to Tensor Core H100s, all right? Let's think about the H200, what they're going to do. They're just so far ahead of everybody. And they're going to continue to innovate and build upon this. And, I think that's going to push further growth in NVIDIA. If you think I'm wrong, that's okay. You can think I'm wrong. They're proven and have been proving that they're just whooping it, right? I want to go to this gaming. Look at this. As AMD's revenue has gone down, NVIDIA's revenue for gaming has gone up. Strong demand in the important back-to-school shopping season. The RTX ecosystem continues to grow. There are now over 475 RTX-enabled games and applications. Released Tensor RT LLM for Windows, which speeds on-device LLM inference by up to 4 times. GeForce now surpassed 1,700 PC titles, including, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, and Starfield. All games I know nothing about because I'm not a gamer. And maybe if I was a gamer, I would have noticed this stuff sooner, but I don't do games, so it is what it is. All right. Now, look at this growth in their professional visualization. You know what I mean? Up. All right. We do have to understand that NVIDIA does see, gaming going down a good amount. All right. So that's okay, though. It's okay. It's not like they're not going to grow that segment. They're eating AMD's lunch entirely. And I think that's a beautiful thing for NVIDIA. Anyways, let's go. So 200 million, they doubled up in a year's time. They doubled up in a year's time on this professional visualization. AI emerging as a powerful demand driver, including inference for AI imaging in healthcare, edge AI in smart spaces, and the public sector. Okay, all right. I also want to talk about how this is not just for, technology companies, but also for biotech companies. And what is that? CRISPR gene editing company, CRISPR or something. But I think that I know that, and I think that NVIDIA is just they're going to be in everything, just like Palantir's software is going to be immersed in everything. And they are the foundation. And not only that, but NVIDIA is in the best position because not only are they building a foundation, but they know how everything works. Usually the builder, the creator, knows the best way to use their technology and, knows exactly how it works better than everybody. And this puts them at a first mover advantage on anything they want to work into. You know what I mean? Not only are they the first mover advantage in data centers, but think about like the software ability of what they're building here. I think that's incredible to think about. You know what I'm saying? So their automotive is down, but as time goes over, it's down year over year in the last quarter. But as time goes on, let's think about how technologically advanced cars have been becoming over the course of time. Now let's look at Tesla and how much more advanced Teslas are. And let's think about fully autonomous driving or full self-driving or whatever you want to call it in Teslas, right? As soon as Tesla gets that figured out, because they're a first mover advantage, and they're by far and away ahead and above everybody else. As soon as they get it built out to where, it's acceptable on the road, which it should already be, but, as far as I can tell you. You know what? I'll just put it like this. So I'm driving down the highway yesterday on my way to work. And what do I see? I'm in the fast lane. I'm cruising 75 miles an hour. I'm paying attention to the road. What do I see right next to me? There's some dude watching explicit videos on his phone, driving down the highway, yanking on his you-know-what. You think Teslas can't drive safer than that? You know what I'm saying? That's just what I'm saying about that. And the fact that Tesla's building out the infrastructure for it now before anybody's even thinking about it. Think about how when Tesla sells it to all these other vehicle companies and all the vehicles on the road are using Tesla FSD, right? They start using Tesla's FSD. Okay, let's be mindful. Now all these other companies have to build out their automotive infrastructure of AI for the road, and license out, or Tesla has to build it out for them. Either way, automotive spend will go up over the course of the coming years. We have to think about that, Okay. Now, their sources and uses of cash. I'll just talk about it. Okay. Cash flow from operations is just freaking insane, right? Just straight to the moon. 1,771% year over year. Straight to the moon. Year over year and quarter over quarter growth primarily driven by higher revenue, partially offset by higher cash tax payments. Utilized cash of $3.9 billion towards shareholder returns, including $3.8 billion in share repurchases and $99 million in cash dividends. Invested $291 million in capex, includes principal payments of PP&E. Ended the quarter with $18.3 billion in gross cash and $9.8 billion in debt, $8.5 billion in net cash. So they're building. Wow, Tesla's really ripping right now. Tesla got smoked yesterday, and now it's like right back up to where it was. I love it. I do have Tesla shares, and I have some long calls on Tesla out 2025 December because not in the account for the scrap account that I'm working with, but in my other account because at this low, at this bottom here, Cybertruck ramp and so many other things going for Tesla, I don't see it being anywhere near 200 in 2 years. And well, I guess it'd be a year and 8, 9, 10 months. All right, so let's go down. Let's go over their Q4 2024 outlook. Oops. Dang it. There we go. So $20 billion plus or minus 2% in revenue, gross margins of 74 to 75%, more like 74 to 76%. Operating expenses at $3.17 billion in GAAP and $2.2 billion in non-GAAP. Income of approximately $200 million for GAAP and non-GAAP. And its effective tax rate of about 15% plus or minus 1%. Okay. Now, new TensorRT LLM software more than doubles inference performance. They just literally with that, they're smoking. They're smoking AMD. I mean, why would anybody choose AMD over NVIDIA? I don't know. I don't know. All right, NVIDIA developed TensorRT LLM, an open source software library that enables customers to more than double the inference performance of their GPUs. TensorRT LLM on H100 GPUs provides up to an 8 times performance speedup compared to the prior generation A100 GPUs running GPT-J6B without the software. 5.3 times reduction in TCO. I don't even know what that is. I better look into it. And 5.6 times reduction in energy costs. That's great. When you can bring the energy suck down by quite a bit, that's great for this company. It's great for data centers, right? So with TensorRT LLM for Windows, LLMs and generative AI applications can run up to 4 times faster logically on PCs or locally on PCs and workstations powered by NVIDIA GeForce RTX and NVIDIA RTX GPUs. TensorRT LLM for data centers now publicly available. All right. One thing. So NVIDIA partners with Foxconn to build factories and systems for AI industrial revolution. Okay. We already know what's going on. AV fleet. Okay, Tesla. They're not saying Tesla. NVIDIA ORIN. I don't know what that is. Gosh, I got to do more research. This is going to take me days. Anyways. So Foxconn, the world's largest manufacturer, will integrate NVIDIA technology to develop AI factories, a new class of data centers. Based on the NVIDIA accelerated computing platform, including NVIDIA GH200 and NVIDIA AI Enterprise software, these AI factories will power a wide range of applications, including digitalization of manufacturing and inspection workflows, development of AI-powered EVs and robotics platforms, a growing number of language-based generative AI services. In addition, Foxconn Smart EV will be built on NVIDIA Drive Hyperion 9, next-gen platform for autonomous automated fleets, powered by NVIDIA Drive Thor, our future automotive SoC. Foxconn Smart Manufacturing Robotic Systems will be built on NVIDIA Isaac, autonomous mobile robot platform, Foxconn Smart City will incorporate. Ooh, I want to read about this. The NVDA Metropolis Intelligent Video Analytics Platform. I want to read about that. Foxconn Smart City, huh? This is what I really want to get to before I close out this video. So, NVIDIA partners with India tech giants to advance AI across world's most populous nation. All right, so NVIDIA announces collaborations with Reliance Industries, Tata Group, and Infosys to bring AI technology and skills to India. With Reliance, the companies will work together to develop India's own foundation LLM trained on India's diverse languages and tailored for generative AI applications. Build supercomputing infrastructure to support the exponential computational demands of AI. With Tata, the collaboration will bring a state-of-the-art AI supercomputer to provide infrastructure as a service and platform for AI services in India. With Infosys, the partnership will bring the NVIDIA AI enterprise ecosystem of models, tools, runtimes, and GPU systems to drive productivity gains with generative AI applications and solutions. Infosys plans to set up an NVIDIA Center of Excellence where it will train and certify 50,000 of its employees on NVIDIA AI technology. Think about it like this. India is the most populous nation, which it says in the title there, or the headline. And we think about what the spend has been in the U.S. Now, we have to understand that India is far less technologically advanced than the U.S. is. So they have so much more to go. Think about the type of spend that's been happening here. Over the next coming 5-10 years, what's going to happen with India? Think about how China built out. Now, China built out way too fast and way too much infrastructure while also not providing a good birth rate, replacement. And that really has hurt China and really has sunk their economy down pretty hard. And it is what it is. But if we think about all the companies that are moving out of China and into India because of the restrictions and because of the BS, don't you think that a lot of that demand that they lost in China due to these restrictions will be revamped here in the future? At least that's what I'm thinking. So, coming to a conclusion, because the video is kind of getting long, here's what we got to think about here. Here's what we got to see. Here's what we got to talk about. Do they beat earnings? I think so. Does Wall Street react negatively to what Colette said already, that gaming would be down year on year? At least that's what I believe she said. Maybe. How offset, is this going to be? They're going to smash AMD. They're going to continue to smash in AMD. AMD holds no candle to NVIDIA here. It might rise. The stock price might rise with NVIDIA. NVIDIA, let's think about this. As they continue to build, and TSMC, as soon as TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, finishes its two plants, its two fabs in Arizona, revenue, I think, will go up even more as soon as they can get that producing chips. But it will oversupply the demand. But I don't know that even really matters with the H200 coming out. This H200 is going to not render H100 obsolete, but be far better. And so I think that companies are going to be falling all over themselves for H200, especially with the applications that are going to be able to, the opportunities will be endless with H200. And so we'll see what happens. But ultimately, if you made it this far, please hit the like and subscribe. Ultimately, I think even if it goes down on earnings, it's going up in the long run. I think NVIDIA is especially with its HG, especially with its HGX cloud platform and so forth. I think that it's going to continue to push. I think it's going to continue to push. We might be seeing $1,000 on the stock price, maybe more. But that's all I got on that. If it goes down, add in the dip. Just do it. It's if it dips significantly, buy and just hold. NVIDIA is going to keep innovating. They have shown they will. They have shown they can do so. Anyways, that's all I got. Thanks for being a part of the journey.